let's jump into a little segment we like to call Heaters.
All right, Em. This is my heater. I dare you to hit it.
Hot shit. I'm going too hot, lady.
Here comes the hot stepper.
All right, Heaters.
Haters.
Week 3. Brought to you by our friends at denversportsbetting.com. Denver Sports Betting is a local sports media outlet dedicated to covering sports from a betting perspective. Denver Sports Betting is not a sports book, but rather an outlet where you can go to educate yourself before placing your bets, kind of like you do when you listen to this show. For betting previews, analysis, breakdowns to sweepstakes, and memorabilia giveaways, denversportsbetting.com has you covered. Dal Palantonio and I are partnering with Denver Sports Betting, our Heaters. Each week will be featured up on denversportsbetting.com. Make sure you guys follow them on Twitter at BettingDenver, on IG, Denver Sports Betting, and on Facebook, Denver Sports Betting. Dal.
Beautiful.
Heaters, week 3. What are you starting out with? 5-0 last week, by the way.
5-0. Well, hey, congratulations to you. 5-0 as well.
You. Combined 10-0.
I got Titans minus 2.5 against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings lost 9 defensive starters, dude. They are allowing 35.5 points and 438 yards per game, which is the second and the fourth highest totals in the league. And you're coming against the Titans crew is getting Mr. A.J. Brown back. And I'll tell you, Derrick Henry hasn't showed us much yet. We have a lot to see from him, and I think he is just getting started. That being said, this should be an easy cover. You're going to see the Titans do what the Titans do best.
Titans minus 2.5. Dal Palantonio.
Straight cash, homie.
I'm going to go to this 49ers-Giants game. Injuries are crazy. Saquon Barkley, Nick Bosa, Dee Ford, Richard Sherman, Sterling Shepard, Raheem Mostert, Solomon Thomas, and Jimmy Garoppolo, just to name a few. If Jimmy Garoppolo's out, does Nick Mullins deserve to be favored by 4 points on the road? Nick Mullins giving up 4 points in any scenario, I don't love. Nick Mullins giving up 4 points with all the injuries surrounding his team and the injuries on his defense. I'm not feeling it at all. Can we agree the Giants are not that terrible? They played the Steelers well in week 1. They were a possession away from beating Chicago last week. So I just feel like the Giants are going to be able to keep this one close. I'm taking the Giants plus 4.
Straight cash, homie.
I got to take it as well. And
seems like a sweet deal to me.
The only thing that I would add to what you've already said, because these are great, great things, and this is the reality.
You're on Giants plus 4?
I am as well.
Right.
So check this out. The 49ers will also be playing at MetLife Stadium turf for a second week in a row. Head coach Kyle Shanahan indicated that the team, quote unquote, will be cautious with players already nursing injuries. That tells me that we're also not going to see George Kittle
You don't
this
think
year.
we'll see Kittle this week?
Based off of that comment right there, and maybe I'm reading too much, we didn't see him last week. I say we don't see him this week as well. This seems like an easy money for me.
Giants plus 4.
Straight cash, homie.
All right, my second one, Washington football team at Cleveland Browns. Washington doesn't have anyone to match up with the Browns' talented receivers. Let me just say it off the jump. They also don't have any linebackers to cover Austin Hooper. The biggest advantage the Browns have comes in the form of Washington's O-line, though. Not great anyway, but now they're missing the best lineman and Pro Bowl tackle Brandon Scherf, who's now out with injury.
That's tough.
Cleveland's defensive line shouldn't have any difficulty pressuring Dwayne Haskins or shutting down the run. I'm on the Browns, even to cover the big number, Browns minus 7.
Straight cash, homie.
Possibly my most confident pick. Let's go ahead and take Pittsburgh Steelers. minus 4. The Texans are in an 0-2 hole. This is not a good matchup. And why I will tell you that is because the Texans defense is almost just as bad as the Vikings. And I will tell you this, if we look at just the protection or the lack of protection, Watson he was sacked 4 times this last game. We haven't
I was going to ask, are they banged up on the O-line or are they just not good?
They're just not good. They're just not good. Easy spread here.
All right.
Easy cover.
Straight cash, homie.
Dal Palantonio, Pittsburgh, minus 4. This game is going to be a fun game to watch regardless. Packers at Saints. Saints looking for a big bounce back. Rodgers is playing better than he has in countless years, despite having pedestrian options downfield other than Devontae Adams. We know Adams the guy. He is currently listed as questionable. Yeah. Even if he does play, I think Marshawn Lattimore is just going to smother Devontae Adams. I know is good, but I don't think a banged up Devontae Adams is going to be able to get a ton of separation
Not
from
a good
Marshawn
matchup.
Lattimore healthy. Also, that might be an issue if Rodgers has to look elsewhere. because they had 6 drops last week against the Lions.
Bad news.
Did you see the public hammering the Packers because of what they did to the Lions last week? Obviously, Saints coming off the loss to the Raiders. I know they struggled Monday night. Everyone's talking about Drew Brees with the noodle arm. It sucks to go against Rodgers, but this is a tough matchup for him, and I love the heavily backed public dogs going against them. I'm going to take the Saints -3.
Straight cash, homie.
I love this as well, and I see this one as like a 27-24, maybe just a little bit more than that. This was my least confident pick, but like you said, I think Devontae Adams, I think that is...
You're taking Saints too?
Huh?
You're on Saints too?
I am Saints as well.
Going against the public.
Sometimes it doesn't hurt, especially when the public is not only going with him, but hammering it. That is just Vegas saying, thank you.
It just looks
Thank
like
you.
easy money because on paper, you look at the game, you're like, oh my God, Rodgers, they just put up 42 points last week. They put up over 42 points in week 1. These guys, they're not going to cut. They're getting points. They're +3. Okay. That's just what it feels like on the surface. But then when you go dig into it, when you dig into the numbers, when you look at everything, like I just told you, the Saints are 2-14 against the spread in weeks 1 and 2 the past 8 seasons. They always start slow. Sean Payton's been starting slow.
And I believe the Saints are going to have a tough run defense. This is the toughest defense that Jones is going to have to run into, I think, at least for the first 5 weeks. And don't get it twisted. Brees and Sean Payton, some of the best adjusters out there, in my opinion. They're going to adjust. They're going to cover the spread.
Dallas is on with me,
Straight cash,
both on the
homie.
Saints, -3. I'm going to hit this Bears at Falcons game. A little bit scary, a little bit weird. Doesn't feel like the Bears should be 2-0. They are 2-0. Falcons are at home. They haven't looked great. But who did the Falcons sleep with to be favored in this game by a field goal or more?
Right.
I'm not a believer in the Bears, but the Falcons stink, bro. Their defense is atrocious, and I don't think their offensive line can block well against teams with good defensive fronts, and Chicago certainly has one of those. To that point, I don't fully trust Atlanta's offensive line to protect Ryan against Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, and Akeem Hicks. The Cowboys can't even bring any pressure, so it wasn't a factor last week, but certainly it was a factor the previous week 1 against the Seahawks. I know Trubisky hasn't been great, but believe it or not, I think this could possibly be his best game of 2020, this whole season, because I think it might be a shootout. Atlanta is better against the run than the pass, so I don't think Montgomery will be much of a factor, but Tariq Cohen could be sneaky this week. Tariq the Freak could be sneaky this week for Mitchell Trubisky coming out of the backfield in the screen game, just like Chris Carson in week 1. If you remember, Chris Carson ate the Falcons up in week 1 for the Seahawks out of the backfield. There's a ton of public action coming in on the Falcons this week. I don't get it, but I'll gladly bet against it. I'm on Chicago, +3 on the road.
Straight cash, homie.
All right, dude, for my final one, man, I love this. We've talked about it in the past. I'm sticking true. Patriots at Raiders. I've got Patriots at -5.5. Not even a tutty. I would say give them a tutty. Either way, 5.5 or 6 will cover the spread. Here's how we're going to do it. What Bill Belichick does is he focuses on the things that the other teams do well. He is going to eliminate Josh Jacobs. He's going to take him completely out of the game. And then I also think you're going against a Patriots secondary that is really going to shut down a Waller.
A Waller?
A Darren Waller. So he's a wall is what I was going to say with Darren Waller. But yeah, I mean, I think their secondary is great. Their run defense is great already. And then they're just going to obviously be focused around that Josh Jacobs and eliminating that. You're going to see Raiders take a big hit here. I think you could see a 10 to 12 point differential here on the end score.
I'm going to go with you on this one. As far as bad spots go, it just doesn't really seem like it gets much worse for the Raiders here. You come off of a huge win against one of the NFL's best teams at home, Vegas debut, and then you got to turn around and play Bill Belichick and the Patriots on a short week in New England. You got to go all the way west to east.
We know how that is.
Right. I know there's no crowd, but it's still a long flight over there on a short week, having to prepare. You give Belichick a little bit of extra time over the amount of time you've had to prepare, which I don't always love. Also, you can throw in that the Pats lost their last game. Uh-oh. That doesn't sound like a recipe for success. I know everyone is probably really high on the Raiders.
Right.
Blew out the Saints, easy cruise control win. I see the Raiders coming in off of that big win.
Totally.
I see them being a little bit hungover and getting stung early and having to try to climb back in. I still think the Patriots cover the number. Patriots -5.5. I'm with you.
Straight cash, homie.
So there you go, NFL Heaters, week 3. Dal is on the Titans -2.5, Giants +4, Steelers -4, Saints -3, Pats -5.5. Dal and I are on 3 plays together this week. Giants +4, Saints -3, and Pats -5.5. In addition, I also have the Browns -7, and I have the Bears +3 against the Atlanta Falcons for heaters this week. Good luck to everybody.